and welcome to Kikao, your weekly guide on the big questions and answers on Africa's agriculture. On this episode, we discuss biotechnology, or more specifically, genetically modified organisms, better known as GMOs. Why are they so controversial in Africa? And do they hold a promise for Africa's agriculture? We'll be discussing that with our usual panel in just a short while. But first,
biotech is undoubtedly one of the most important disruptive agricultural technologies that can accelerate the pace of breeding, that can accelerate the pace of integrating genetic innovations in our cultivar development. There are excellent programs that are happening right now in Africa, but the progress in terms of government's political will and commitment to make these technologies reach the farming communities is really suboptimal.
Well, let's now join our panel led by Dr. Canisius Kanangire, who is the Executive Director of ATF, as they delve deeper into the question of GMOs and their place in Africa.
Biotechnology has been positioned as one of the tools at the farmer's disposal to resolve various agricultural challenges such as low crop yield, pests and diseases, as well as the effect of climate change. But in most African countries, the journey to deliver a GM product from the lab into the hands of farmers has been relatively slow. The adoption of the technology has been plagued by challenges such as inadequate institutional capacity to handle the technology, voices opposed to the technology, and prohibitive regulations. On this episode of Kikao, we will examine what it takes to move GM product from research and development to markets. I am your host today, Dr. Canisius Kanangire, call me Canisius, the Executive Director of the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, AATF. And my guest today, Dr. Jeremy Ouedraogo, Director of the African Biosafety Network of Expertise at AUDA NEPAD, and Florence Wambugu, the CEO of Africa Harvests. Florence, Jeremy, you are welcome.
Thank you.
To Kikao.
Thank you.
It is nearly 30 years now since the introduction of genetically modified technology. Tell me, what was it for? What did we expect about that technology?
I think from my perspective and what we have shared, we expected to solve our problems, just like you have indicated. We expected to solve our food problem. We expected to elevate our poverty. We expected to increase our productivity. We expected to help us in agriculture. So there was an expectation.
As a person who has been in all that journey for so long, what is the state of adoption and use of GM products today in Africa?
Yeah, definitely Africa has made a huge progress since this technology has been developed. It mainly started with, let's say, cash crops like cotton. And Egypt started, followed by Burkina Faso, and today many other countries are definitely adopted. Of course, with some challenges, but this is part of the game. Apart from Burkina Faso today, I can say Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, Malawi, Sudan released those crops for Africa farmers to grow. But we recently have many food crops like maize, cassava under trial, really to make sure that we also provide food cowpea is one of the very latest in Nigeria, and we expect Burkina Faso and also Ghana really to come with key decisions so that the rate of adoption is raised in the continent.
Florence, do we have a number of successes you can say, okay, these are the successes we have registered in GM technology in Africa, and this is the impact we have been able to create so far?
Let me say that in the last 20 years, the first country to really embrace this technology was South Africa. And South Africa, not being a typical African country, they already had the capacity. They had laboratories where their own scientists were actually working on this technology. Many private sector companies landed there. And for a while, South Africa was just the country with about 5 crops of genetically engineered crops, which they were benefiting, they were commercializing. The other countries were halting. The impact that we are now realizing was actually took a while to come because of the lack of infrastructure, lack of creative. I mean, it was had a little bit of awareness creation because it was feeling like, does this belong to us? We begin to see an impact in terms of maize. You have got products were released in several African countries, and I think that is highly commendable. In the maize area, in the cowpea area, which Jeremy talked about, they begin to see other African countries like Kenya coming with the BT cotton. It took a long time. His work has been done for 2 decades. Just creating awareness, diffusing the fears, bringing an African critical mass, having scientists involved, having funders, both governments and donors from outside. So really something very good is happening now. We can all be proud about.
You talked about Burkina Faso being the second to adopt GM technology on cotton after Egypt. And I would like to say, what are the stories that the farmers, cotton farmers, are telling us on a number of years using that technology? Jeremy, can you?
Yes, definitely. You know, in most of the countries, farmers have been involved from the start because the request came from the farmers, raising challenges, mainly when it comes to insecticide, pesticide spraying. It harms human health, and also it has a negative impact on environment. If you want to reduce the cost of 1 kg of cotton to be produced, you need to consider that. So what they told us, what we need is for you to get this technology into our own local varieties. And from there, we need the seeds in our fields so that we can improve. So farmers have been
happy.
Yeah, happy.
And can tell their
absolutely
happy stories.
Absolutely.
Florence talked about something, saying, oh, there were other voices coming. And let's take a break. And after the break, we go to those challenges.
Great.
Karibuni! Hii ndio base ya the best local entertainment. Baby!
Tumefungulia Magic. Starting from the 7th of October, Maisha Magic Plus will be on DSTV Access and GoTV Plus.
Watu wafunga mshipi ya? Oya Kadere, tuende sasa. Na uende pole pole uchunga watu wa nduthi na watu wa miguu. Na hiyo simu weka chini wewe. Sawa? Kaende sana.
Usalama barabarani ni jukumu letu sote. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na the European Union.
Get ready to be inspired by our distinguished keynote speakers at the African Conference on Agricultural Technologies. Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a biologist and a prominent advocate for agricultural technologies. Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Mithika Linturi, as well as leading scientists and presidents of various organizations dedicated to advancing agricultural technologies. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to network, learn and experience the latest agricultural innovations and advancement at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi from 30th October to 3rd November 2023. ARCAD, Agricultural Resilience Through Innovation. See you there.
Where does my money go every month?
This again? It doesn't have to be like this. This is Loop,
a digital smart wallet that links all our accounts from any bank. Your control, safe, secure.
Wanna save more when making payments?
Loop's got deals just for us, and we can pay into any bank or mobile wallet account. More control, higher sending limits, lower fees, less stress. Now, let's make next month a little better. We're smarter than this.
Download Loop and control all of your money from one app. Loop is regulated by the Central Bank of Kenya.
What should I do with my Luigi? He's 35 now, but doesn't want to move out. I cook for him, I wash for him.
Allora, why don't you try a Red Bull?
Ornella, where is my mama?
Ah, she's flown the nest.
Following the gazettement of Two Rivers as a private, services-focused special economic zone, the first one of the kind in Kenya, there is no better time to own a home at Two Rivers than now. Text the word Cascadia to 22365.
Welcome back to Kikao. The issue of GMO in Africa has generated a lot of controversy. Why?
Now, science and I think innovations are seen to have always two sides. We call it the light and the shadows. Meaning, when something new comes, people are going to want to understand it before they can use it. And if they explained and they understand it from their own scientists or their own people, many times when they trust you, because all innovations come new, they're always going to generate some controversy. Our people are going to need to ask where and how it comes from. But what happened before the local people, the scientists or us or all of us could understand, could be able to grasp the issues, there was a strong anti-lobby group that came from Europe with a very powerful voice and began to generate fear and scare, indicating this potential danger to the human beings and the environment. And when they brought that strong lobby, it was picked by even politicians. The negativity of it was that we need a very strong regulatory system, very costly regulatory system. And I think the worst part, it was made, it had be politicized. Parliament had to pass the bills. And by making it political, it created this slowdown. I call it this slowdown of the optical technology. If you compare to what happened in America, the regulation became completely scientific. The organization, like let's say in Kenya, we have got CAFEs, I'm sure in Rwanda there's a regulatory body. In America, the strength of those, so it became scientifically regulated. And that slowed down. Those voices became strong enough to really make the government to fear, people to fear. And because of that, it slowed down progress. It took a while. And that's why it taken 2 decades in some of the areas to deliver. The products were there. They could have moved faster. But by the time you educate, you communicate, you go back and forth, sometimes Parliament takes 5 years, that group goes and new one comes. Start afresh to pass the regulations. Those voices cannot be ignored for what they did to slow down the uptick of the technology.
Why is it that other countries are lagging behind when they see that neighbors are already reaping the fruits of adoption of that technology. Florence, can we?
I think it's going to change, and I think what Jeremy has indicated, some of the reason for going slow was that we needed political will. This technology needed to be led by forces stronger than the scientists. The reason being, he has brought a very important point. Here we had, like literally America versus Europe, because the American led, there was a bigger fight above the institutions. And so unless the political will was there, that's what happened. And then we needed institutions with a stronger voice to go to parliament. I remember the first time I had a conversation with our deputy president now, who is heading in the political area, and I explained to him about this idea, and he actually caught it. He asked, who is funding those highly vocal European groups? And I knew for sure they are being funded by companies that used to sell chemicals, who feel that if we now started using the maize or the cotton that's protected, they are going to lose their business. He understood it completely. This is a bigger fight than we are seeing. There's nothing wrong with the technology. The fight is bigger. Once he understood that, he was able actually to go and move things faster and tell his colleague, this fight is bigger than Santis or Helasi. There's bigger issues. We want to be kept under as Africa. We want to be left behind. We want to be cut off from a technology that's making ripples. I was helping. Another recent example I can give from Kenya is that when we had the fall armyworm, it was a serious problem. Our government sent a group of people to go to Latin America, find out, because the fall armyworm actually came with the maize import because of famine. So the problem of fall armyworm actually came with the maize. And then they understood the only way to control the fall armyworm, let's go to Latin America, where the maize came from, and find out how do they solve this problem. When they went there, they found it's actually solved by BT. They were told by the ministers, by the government. Now we have got our minister going, 2 ministers went there, the PSs. They were told the way we solve this, 70% of the solution is actually controlled by genetically engineering technology, use of BT. 30% is controlled by other ways, like making sure it doesn't break down. And that made a complete mind shift. And that's what also made things better in terms of acceptance and the acceleration we are seeing. So political will is a must.
So we need political will. We need a critical mass of people who can adapt the technology to the condition and then lead to more acceptance of the same technology by the users. And then we need, of course, a lot of communication, awareness creation, and going to the public. But we have still the issue of the very long journey to get the regulation. So let's take a break. And when we come, we talk of those regulations. Welcome back to Kikao. Jeremy, we talked about regulations as one of the area where we normally, it takes a lot of time to deliver this product. Why is it so slow to get the regulations approved to get the product to the market? And what can we do to accelerate?
Yes, definitely. I should say when the African Union made that decision, pushing countries to harness modern biotechnology to transform agri, they made it clear. Biotechnology development should co-evolve with biosafety regulatory system development in the countries to ensure a safe use of those technologies. Regulating means that we simply need to establish rules to make sure that risk assessment is fully implemented so that the end product is safe. Approval before you start is key, but at the same time, I think in many countries, what delay is mainly because those countries didn't have a policy. You need a policy to show a clear vision.
Yeah.
The vision means that my country will need to harness modern biotechnology to transform agric for socio-economic development. That's the policy. Now you move to the regulations. This technology needs to be regulated, so this is the biosafety law where you establish a framework. You can have a national authority, you can have, let's say, based on the law, you extract implementing regulations so that the law is applied on the ground. Why it takes time? It's mainly because in those countries, the human capacity is missing. The African Union, through the African Union Development Agency, they have established a continental program called the African Biosafety Network of Expertise. Many experts on environmental risk, on, let's say, legal matters, on food safety, socio-economic considerations. This team, his mandate is to support countries build national biosafety system.
What are the lessons that we can take from those countries that have already adopted the technology?
We also have principles of data transportability or data portability. Nigeria benefited from the results of on the cotton from Burkina, just to see what they have done, how they did it, to definitely consider that in their own trials, you see. So, or you can also use this principle to skip, if you are in the same agroecological zone, environment is key here. If you move from, let's say, a dry area to a more humid, you definitely need to do more trials. But if you have the same agroecological area, you can simply borrow from one more well-advanced country who approved a crop that is of interest for your country, and you can easily skip some steps to move forward.
Could you, in a few words, tell us what Africa missed out? What are the missed opportunities by Africa not adopting that technology when it came almost 30 years ago?
We have, let's say we have missed out in terms of time little lost. We could have been very far in some areas. And there's time missed out, and there is regress from some of the innovations that we could have taken in. However, we can look at what has happened, for example, to telephone lines, where we leapfrogged from landlines later to the cell phones. I think that even that time we delayed, we can say that that can turn also to a blessing. We avoid mistakes that were made by others by looking at what did they do wrong in terms of issues that of concern, like patents. There are issues of concern like whatever now we are realizing could have been a concern. We can avoid these things that we see others are concerned about, things we are able to solve now. So I see us using the missed opportunity to become an opportunity later to leapfrog with this technology to the future.
What we need to do to catch up is definitely to make sure that, once again, the political will is clearly expressed and converted into a budget for investment in agric, investment in science, technology, and innovation. What we also missed is, let's say, our capacity building. I don't like too much this word. Today, I would rather say capacity strengthening. Yeah, but we have today a critical mass. 30 years ago, we didn't have that. So we missed that part, but today we can catch up. It simply requests that we incentivize private sector, financial institutions to support government and invest in science, technology, and innovation.
That's very good. I think during this Kikao, we have seen that GMO is a good technology, and it can address the key challenges like the pests and like the productivity, like the issues of drought. But adoption of this technology has been hampered by so many challenges. One of them being the capacity, the availability of a critical mass of scientists who would adapt that technology to the real contexts. Also, the issue of communicating, creating awareness to different stakeholders. Also, the issue of having a political will, which will do a dedicated effort to adopt technologies for the transformation of agriculture and enhance productivity, and the significance of agriculture in the whole economy of our countries. I thank you very much, Florence, and keep it up. Thank you very much, Jeremy.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And now to our science terminology of the week on Science Speak. And that word for the week is GMO. Well, GMO is actually the abbreviation for genetically modified organism. And this is usually an organism whose DNA, remember DNA, the genetic material, has been modified in the laboratory to get a desired trait, such as higher yields, for example, or resistance to disease. So it's been over 20 decades with many missteps and a lot of lessons as well. But GMOs are here to stay. And as the experts put it, Africa has a lot to learn from other parts of the world and also a lot to reap from the benefits of GMOs. Until we meet again next time, my name is Joe Ageo and thanks for watching Kikao.